Now, what kind of data is trapped in ice that can give us information? Well, the type of data that's trapped in ice is the concentration of carbon dioxide and the amount of deuterium to hydrogen ratio. All right, and so let's look at this. This is ice core data. This particular data goes back, this is time 0. If you look at this graph, just orient yourself for a minute. This is time 0, like now, and it goes back 160,000 years. So 160 millennia or 160,000 years back in time. That's from ice core data. And what they do is they can take the ice and very carefully separate the ice and then put it in a container and measure the concentration. There's little air bubbles trapped in the ice. They can measure the concentration of the carbon dioxide. So this is the carbon dioxide concentration in the little bubbles over time. And they see how if the concentration of carbon dioxide in the bubble, that must indicate, you know, the concentration of carbon dioxide that was in the atmosphere at the time, that the snow fell and then was compressed into ice over time. Then down here, the other thing that they do is they look at the temperature. And the temperature is inferred by the deuterium to hydrogen ratio. All right. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But for now, just look at the correlation. I mean, you can just glance at this and see that when this goes up, this goes up. When this kind of goes down, this goes down, and now it's going back up again in recent time. And so this being the temperature, this is the difference over the average temperature. The average temperature would be 0. We consider this like the 0 line. So this is how much above or below the average temperature existed at that time. And the average temperature, they're taking the average between 1950 to 1980 average. Whoops, 1980 average. All right, so this would have been at the 0 line. This is the average global temperature averaged over the time from 1950 to 1980. Let's get to 1980. All right, and so you see that 160 million years ago, 160,000 years ago, the global temperature was 8 degrees colder than it was between 1950 and 1980. But then 130,000 years ago, the temperature was about 2 degrees greater than it was 100 than it is now. Okay, and then you can see that there was a sharp decrease. Well, not how sharp is sharp. It's over 20,000 years. It decreased, and then kind of some fluctuation, and then a minimum 8 degrees below the average again about 20,000 years ago. And so these minimum are correlated with ice ages, all right? And so there is some obvious fluctuation that's going on over time. But the interesting thing is that fluctuation has been correlated into the concentration of carbon dioxide in the air. And so over the last 20,000 years, the carbon dioxide concentration has steadily increased, and the average global temperature has steadily increased, all right? And you can see here's current time, a little bit higher than the 1950 to 1980 average. All right, so there's some data that's correlating the concentration of carbon dioxide over time with the temperature.